I want to start off by saying peace, blessings to everyone that's going to tune into this presentation. And our lesson for this block is taste like chicken, fair or foul. I'll say it again. Taste like chicken, fair or foul. Before we continue, I want to encourage everyone to click the subscribe button and also click the check so that way you'll get notifications for every new video that I post on this channel. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and again, subscribe to the channel. Click the subscribe button. So let's go ahead and get started here.
What is that? Tick, 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 tick.
I don't know what kind of snake that is, though.
I don't know either. It's big. Boy, I should almost let Jaycee out. She would come get it. Better throw it in the tin.
What if it's poison?
Well, just don't pick it up unless you know for sure. See, the head's still loose. Oh, Bean, go after it, Bean. You can do it.
Oh, she's tearing it up.
Well, that's what they need to do.
Where's Spencer?
Tick, 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 tick. Here, Macy. What is? Tick, 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 tick. Tick, 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 tick. Come on, Macy, come get it. You can't see it's not moving. Dooney don't want it. Here comes Macy. You gonna kill it? You almost need a pair of pliers so you can grab it. Ooh, you be careful.
I don't think it's poisonous because it has a round head.
Well, let's don't try it out.
They give it to Jaycee?
Yeah, give it to Jaycee. Oh, now they're all going to come running. Ooh, is she eating it?
Yep.
Boy, she got that whole thing down. How long you reckon that was?
6 inches maybe?
At least 6 inches. Well, that'll fill her up for a little bit. That's my Jaycee. She's my Xena warrior princess. She can eat a snake. Yeah.
Our objectives for this presentation. Just want to cover a few things. Again, our objectives for this presentation. We are going to define what is a bird of prey. Again, we're going to define what is a bird of prey. We're also going to define what is a quail. Also, a chicken. What is a chicken? Also, is the chicken a bird of prey? Is the chicken a bird of prey? The video that you just saw a moment ago, that is what many are using to deem the chicken as being a bird of prey, also to be unclean. Scavenger birds.
Now, who's responsible for this unwarranted attack on my person?
Is the chicken an unclean bird? Is the chicken an unclean bird? So what is a bird of prey? What is a bird of prey? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 11, verse 13. All right, and it reads, "And these are they which ye shall have an abomination, shaquatazah, among the fowls, awap, they shall not be eaten, they are an abomination, the eagle, nashar, the ossifrage, paras, and the osprey, izanayah. These are they which ye shall have an abomination, shaquatazah or shaquats." Now, I want to be clear, this presentation is not put together to insult anyone, but a much needed discussion because many believe that the chicken is an unclean bird. And so when we get through with this presentation, you make the final choice. You make the conclusion. You vote by clicking yes or no. So these are they which ye shall have an abomination, shaquatazah or shaquats. So the Hebrew definition of abomination: to be filthy, to loathe, pollute. In other words, to make detestable. Abomination, shaquats or shaquatazah, simply means to be filthy, pollute. So back to the scripture. These are they which ye shall have an abomination, shaquats or shaquatazah, among the fowls. In layman's terms, these are shaquatazah, filthy and polluted among the fowls. In other words, these birds. That's what it means. These are filthy and polluted among the fowls. Awap, that is the Hebrew word for fowls or birds. So let's define the word fowls. I just gave it an answer, but let's define it. It means a bird as covered with feathers, or rather as covering with wings, often collectively bird that flieth, flying, fowl. So let's go to the Hebrew primitive root definition of fowls, awap. Let's see what it means. It says here, to cover with wings or obscurity, hence to fly, also to faint, brandish, be wax or be faint, flee away, fly away. So fowl, awap, means a bird as covered with feathers or covered with wings. So let's deal with the scientific classification, mayana, of birds. Let's deal with the scientific classification for birds. All right, this is coming from ornithology, the science of birds. Bird groups are organized by scientific classification based upon their anatomical structure and geographic distribution, behavior, blood proteins, and a variety of other characteristics. Most recently, and probably not most accurately, DNA hybridization has determined the relationships and supposed evolutionary history of all the birds groups of the world and most of the species. So it gives you a link here where it says learn more below and see lectures by the ornithologists for more detailed information. But nevertheless, let's go back here. It says they shall not be eaten, akal, they are an abomination. So ornithology tells us that birds are grouped or organized by scientific classification. But guess what? We have this in the scriptures. This tells you just how smart our ancestors is. All right. You see the science in our Dabar HaKodesh, which means holy word. So let's go to Genesis, the 6th chapter, verse 20. And it reads, of fowls I wop after their kind, Nayan or Nayana, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. Two of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive, Kai or Kaya, all right, to keep them alive, Kai or Kaya. All right, so what does this mean? See, many get tricked by the question of, well, how did Noah fit all of those animals into the ark? Understand, fowls after their kind, animals after their kind. We know that there's hundreds of species of dogs, right? So many different breeds of dogs that are out there, but they still stem from a group of dogs, a small group of dogs. All right. So when it says after their kind, it's not saying that they needed every different breed of dogs. This means that whatever is the A of that species, right, that's what they had inside the ark. All right. So it wasn't this large number that we think of, but it had what certain A, so to speak, animals of their kind. Okay. So let's deal with the Hebrew definition of the word kind, mayan or mayana, to portion out a sort, an example, species, kind. It goes on to say, and this is very important, it says kind, sometimes a species, usually of animals, groups of living organisms belong in the same created kind if they have descended from the same ancestral gene pool. This does not preclude new species because this represents a partitioning of the original gene pool. And we'll double back on this later on. So information is lost or conserved, not gained. A new species could arise when a population is isolated and inbreeding occurs. By this definition, a new species is not a new kind, but a further partitioning of an existing kind. Thus, we go back to the example of dogs. All right. So new species of dogs, guess what? It's not a new kind, right? It's just what? A further segmentation of the dog itself. By this definition, a new species is not a new kind, but a further partitioning of an existing kind. So let's go to Leviticus chapter 11, verse 13. And these are they which ye shall have an abomination, quawats tazah, or quawats, among the fowls I wop, they shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle, Nashar, and the ossifrage, Paras, and the osprey, Izanayah. So let's deal with the Hebrew definition of eagle. It means to lacerate, the eagle. But pay attention to this right here. It says, or other large bird of prey. Okay. So eagle, Nashar, means to lacerate, but it also means large bird, eagle, vulture, and also the griffin vulture. All right. These are different kinds of Nashar. Okay, so the Britannica history of the eagle. This is what it says. Eagle, any of many large, heavy-beaked, big-footed birds of prey belonging to the family Accipitridae. In general, an eagle is any bird of prey more powerful than a buteo. So pay attention again. I want to just highlight some key characteristics here. Eagles, large, heavy-beaked, big-footed birds of prey. Let's make a note of that for the eagle. So an eagle may resemble a vulture in build and flight characteristics, but has a full feathered, often crested head and strong feet equipped with great curved talons. A further difference is in foraging habits. Eagles subsist mainly on live prey. An eagle, nashar, is a bird of prey. Awap ha tarap. So let's go to the ossifrage. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the ossifrage. So let's deal with the Hebrew definition of the ossifrage. It means a claw, all right? Talon, right? That's still one of the key characteristics of an eagle, right? The talon, a claw, also a kind of eagle. All right, you see, we still see that word eagle in association with this word, this group. So an ossifrage, paras, is a bird of prey. Again, Iwap ha tarap, bird of prey. Let's go to the osprey. Okay, they shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. So the Hebrew definition of osprey, I-zanaya, all right, I-zanaya, probably the sea eagle. We still see what? That commonality, eagle. Let's go to the Britannica, all right, let's see the history of the osprey, also called fish hawk, large, long-winged hawk, about 65 centimeters, which is 26 inches, long, that lives along sea coasts and larger interior waterways where it catches fish. It is brown above and white below with some white on the head. An osprey flies over the water to hunt. It hovers above its prey and then lunges feet first to seize a fish in its long curved talons, which a grip secured by a sharp spicules, and on the underside of the toes, the bird carries its prey to a favorite perch to feed. Sometimes after feeding, the osprey flies low over the water. The osprey is the only species in the family of the Pandionidae, which is sometimes considered a subfamily of the hawk and eagle family. So we still see that this is still part of the same group here. Sometimes considered a subfamily of the hawk and eagle family. So an osprey, Isa yanai, is a bird of prey. Iwap ha tarap. All right, bird of prey. So let's go to Leviticus chapter 11, verse 14. And the vulture, da'ah, and the kite, ayah, after his kind, mayana, or mayan, that word kind. We see that word there. Okay, after the birds that I just highlighted, it says after his kind. And the vulture, da'ah. Let's deal with the Hebrew definition of vulture. The kite, vulture, da'ah. In the Britannica, the history of the vulture, this is what it says. Vulture, any of 22 species of large carrion eating birds that live predominantly in the tropics and subtropics. All right. The 7 species of New World vultures include condors, and you see griffins included within here. All right. Remember, we talked about the griffins earlier. So members of the 2 groups appear similar. They are only distantly related. All of the New World vultures and some of the Old World vultures have bare heads, which is a condition that prevents feathers from matting with blood when the birds reach inside carcasses. Another bird we want to highlight is the kite. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The kite. So let's deal with the Hebrew definition of kite, ayah. So kite, right? They are screamers. An example, a hawk, a vulture. So you still see what? The commonality. You see hawk. You also see vulture. These are large birds here. So the kite, any of numerous birds of prey belonging to one of 3 families. Of the families, Accipitridae, right? Typically, a kite is lightly built with a small head, barely, or should I say, partly bare face, short beak, and long, narrow wings and tail. The kite, ayah, is a bird of prey. Iwap, ha, tarap, bird of prey. Leviticus 11:15. Every raven, Irab, after his kind. So notice the raven is separate from all the birds that I just highlighted. So of course you have different types of and different species of ravens within that kind. So far, every bird mentioned, with the exception of the raven, Irab, are called raptors. All right, so all the birds that I mentioned, they are called raptors, which leads me to the characteristics of a raptor. It starts with its hooked beak. A raptor's beak is one feature used to set them apart from other birds. All raptors have the same beak design, curved at the tip with sharp cutting edges to tear apart prey that will easily fit into the mouth. The beaks based on the type of prey eaten. For example, the American kestrel has a small beak for eating small prey like mice, insects. And so the eagle have powerful heavy beaks for tearing into large pieces of meat, but snail kites have a highly specialized long curved beak for probing inside snails. This is an image of the American kestrel. It looks like an eagle, but that is a raptor. All right, but look at the beak. Notice the beak. And so another characteristic of raptors is their sharp talons. Birds of prey have powerful legs and toe muscles that, when combined with their sharp talons, make their feet lethal. Perfectly designed to catch, hold, and carry prey. The length and size of a raptor's toe and the curvature and thickness of its talons are related to the type of prey it pursues. Most birds of prey will have 3 toes pointing forward and 1 pointing backwards. These toes can apply an extremely powerful grip on their prey, literally crushing it to death. Talons may also be used to pierce a vulnerable spot such as the back of the neck to quickly kill the prey. So eagles and hawks kill their prey by dislocating the neck. And so ospreys have 2 toes facing forward and 2 facing backward. This allows them to hold the fish they catch with 4 claws, 2 on each side for a secure grip. Ospreys also have spiny scales on their feet that help them hold on to slippery fish more securely. Another key feature to raptors is that they have excellent eyesight. Raptors have excellent eyesight. raptors are believed to have the keenest eyesight in nature because of the size of their eyeball and the eye muscles designed for rapid focus. In each eye, which control color perception, the sharpest point of vision at these concentrations is called the fovea. The fovea works in unison, and they give raptors accurate depth perception, which is very important for birds of prey that must focus quickly when chasing moving objects. The birds of Israel, the raptors. This is coming from a website, Israel Birding. In other words, it's a site that's dedicated to the birds that are located in Israel, even though there's far more, but these are some pictures of the birds that are in Israel. So I want to focus on the raptors. Okay, so let's take a look at the raptors and notice the appearance. To the left of your screen, you see the short-toed eagle, and to the right, you see the griffin vulture. Notice we covered this earlier in this presentation. To the left, you see the red-footed falcon, and to the right, you see the osprey. Now notice you still see the resemblance. Look at the beak. All right, look at the osprey's talons. We also see an image to the left there of the black kite, and to the right, the Egyptian vulture. All right, and notice the resemblance. Look at the beak. Look at the talons. So let's go back to Leviticus. We're going to highlight verse 16 of chapter 11. And the owl, Bath or Batha, and the nighthawk, Thakamas, and the kakao, Shakap, and the hawk, not Tazah or knots, right? After his kind. That's key. After his kind. And so the nighthawk, Thakamas, a species of unclean bird, perhaps an owl. And in the in-depth definition of this word, it says a ceremonial unclean bird. A, it says a name of the male ostrich. B, probably the great owl. C, perhaps an extinct bird. Exact meaning unknown. But let's deal with the Easton's Bible Dictionary of 1894, the definition of nighthawk. Thakamas. It says occurs only in the list of unclean birds, and it gives the scripture Leviticus 11:16, Deuteronomy 14:15. This was supposed to be the nightjar allied to the swifts. The Hebrew word is derived from a root meaning to scratch. All right, those talons. Remember we talked about the talons. Or tear the face. It may be the best rendered in accordance with the ancient version, an owl, Strix flammea. Let's deal with the birds of Israel. Let's deal with the raptors. Let's go right back to the raptors here. We see the strided scops owl on the left, and we also see the eagle owl. But these are still part of, as well, the owl family, but these are raptors as well. So back to the scripture, it says the owl, Bath, and the nighthawk, Thakamas, and the kakao. This is the definition from Britannica of the cuckoo. In the scripture, you see kakao, cuckoo, any of numerous birds of the family Cuculidae. All right, so the name usually designates some 60 arboreal members of the subfamilies in Western Europe. Cuckoo, without modifiers, refers to the most common local form, elsewhere called the common or European cuckoo. All right, so this just gives you more other names, you know, some specialized names of this particular family. What's interesting, you see the roadrunner there. All right, but nevertheless, this is cuckoo. These birds, they lay their eggs in their nests, and other bird species come and they incubate the birds. They are foster parents. Let's go back to the Easton Bible Dictionary. 1894, the definition of the cacao, from a root meaning to be lean, slender. So it gives us more information here. It tells us the bird is mentioned only in Leviticus 11:16 and Deuteronomy 14:15. It tells us here that it's a seagull or sea mew, and so the common cuckoo feeds on reptiles and large insects. It is found in Asia and Africa, as well as in Europe. It only passes the winter in Palestine. So let's deal with the Hebrew definition of this word. Shakap, to peel. An example, emaciate. The gull, as thin. Let's go right back to the IsraelBirding.com gallery. And so we see an example of one of the species of the cuckoo. All right, so you see the great spotted cuckoo. Let's transition to another group. Let's transition to another bird. What is a quail? Okay, that is the question of the hour. What is a quail? What is a chicken? These are the questions we're going to answer now. Is the chicken a bird of prey? So again, many are referring to a chicken as a bird of prey, an unclean bird, a scavenger bird. So is the chicken an unclean bird? So let's start with understanding a quail. Numbers chapter 11, verse 31. And there went forth a wind, Rawak, from the Lord, and brought quail, Shalah, from the sea, Hayam, and let them fall by the camp. And as it were a day's journey on the other side, round about the camp, as it were about 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth. Now pay attention to this scripture, because this is very important with the information I'm about to share. So the scripture says, a wind, Rawak, from the Lord, Yahweh, and brought quails, Shalah, from the sea. This is describing a quail migration. I'll say it again. This is describing a quail migration. This is an unusual migration. This is an out of season migration. That's why this is so miraculous. Why? Because the children of Israel, they got tired of eating manna. People complain about anything. Here it is, they're eating manna straight from the Most High. Manna means, what is this? Right? And so that was not good enough for the Israelites. So if they were not pleased and they complained about eating food directly from heaven, do you think that they're not, or people are not going to complain about your cooking? Something to think about. So this is describing a quail, Shalah, migration, a miraculous migration, an outer season migration. All right, so let's go to theguardian.com, and I'm just using this for reference so you get an idea about the migrations that still takes place today. So August marks the start of the annual migration of millions of birds from their European breeding areas to the wintering grounds in Africa. Many will fly across the eastern Mediterranean towards Egypt, where they will land exhausted on a coast along hundreds of kilometers of trappers' nets that have been basically set out for them. So what's interesting about this here too, I read an article about in Israel that they are literally putting a halt to capturing the quails, because they are now at a verge of being completely wiped out. Why? Because another good thing about scriptures, the stipulation that was given to Israel is that, guess what? They took what they can eat for the day. They were not allowed to store the quails. So the Most High allowed them to eat it, but they could not hoard it, right? They could not hoard the quails. Why? Because I believe, of that very thing of the Most High God blessed them with these birds to eat. And so he did not want them to wipe them out, eradicate them. This is confirming scripture. We see the scientific aspect of this within the scriptures, thus further supporting our Dabar HaQuadash. It goes on to say in this article, nets have been spanned to create almost unbroken walls of death on the seaside dunes. These nets will catch at least 140 million birds this year. According to one biologist, estimates more than 1 in 20 of the migrant birds leaving Europe for Africa. So what is a quail? What is a quail? A quail, any of roughly 130 species of small short-tailed game birds from the families Phasanidae and the families Odontophoridae, in other words, order of Galliforms, resembling partridges, but generally smaller and less robust. The 95 species of quail prefer open country and brushy borders. Okay, in spring, the hen lays about 12 roundish eggs, which the male may help incubate. The young remain with their parents the first summer. Quail eat mainly seeds and berries, but also take leaves, roots, and some insects. Their flesh is considered a delicacy, as are their eggs. So let's deal with the Hebrew definition of quail. Shalah. The quail, collectively as slow in flight from its weight. So make a note of that. We're going to double back to this. All right. So quail, shalah, means sluggish, slow in flight. I'll say it again. Quail, shalah, means sluggish, slow in flight. So let's go to the Easton Bible Dictionary. Again, 1894. This is the definition of quail. The Israelites were twice relieved in their privation by a miraculous supply of quails. All right, so this is highlighting how the Most High blessed the Israelites with the miraculous supply of quails, this migration, this miraculous migration. It took place in Exodus chapter 16, verse 13. We also see it in Numbers chapter 11, verse 31. And it says, God rained flesh upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as the sand of the sea. Psalm 78:27. So you see the high numbers of these birds. Remember the article that we read, over 120 million are captured in nets. The quails flew at this height and were easily killed or caught by hand because of the weight of the quails. Remember the weight, and also because of that, the stamina after flying such a long distance. So they flew at a certain height, and this is why the children of Israel did not have an issue with capturing these birds. So these birds are found in countless numbers on the shore of the Mediterranean, and their annual migration is an event causing great excitement. What is a chicken? All right, let's deal with this. What is a chicken? So a chicken, any of more than 60 breeds of medium-sized poultry that are primarily descended from the wild jungle red fowl. And we see here the same words here. You see Gallus gallus, family of the Phasanidae, orders Galliforms of India, chickens primarily descended from the wild red jungle fowl. And here's an illustration of that bird. And you see the resemblance of the chicken. You also see the resemblance of the quail. So let's deal with the jungle fowl. Any of 4 Asian birds of the genus, the Gallus family, which is called the Phasanidae, in other words, order Galliforms. Gallus species differs from other members of the pheasant family, and having in the male a fleshly comb, lobed wattles hang below the bill, and high arched tail. The red jungle fowl is the ancestor of domestic fowl. All right, so they are the progenitor of the quail as well as the chicken. So the red jungle fowl, also they are foragers. It vigorously scratches the forest floor searching for food amongst ground matter and soil. As omnivores, yes, they are omnivores. As omnivores, the red jungle fowl will eat many types of food it finds on the ground, from insects and worms to seeds, berries, and even small animals or reptiles. Now, the difference between the quail and chicken is the fact that quails, they do not eat snakes, they do not eat reptiles, they do not eat animals. So strictly seeds and insects from that perspective, but they do not eat animals or reptiles. They are not omnivores. The feral chicken, which is the domesticated chickens that have returned to the wild, use similar omnivorous foraging tactics and will eat a similar diet if available. There are also reports of feral chickens living among human population and foraging on discarded human food. So what this is telling us, that they are not doing like we would know as birds of prey or any type of predatory animal. They eat by pecking on the ground, and primarily they eat off of seeds and things along that line. But guess what? If they come across a snake, they will what? Eat the snake. But it's not going to be a king cobra, like you will see many eagles or large birds that we covered. But they will also eat large animals such as mountain goats. You can look it up. You'll see some species of the eagles or birds of prey. They would actually lift up mountain goats and drop them at huge heights, and then they would eat them. All right, so that's what a bird of prey does. But you do not see these chickens doing that, exhibiting these type of behaviors. You will not see it. Notice in that video you saw how the people, they placed the snakes there. All right, it wasn't the chicken was searching them and preying on them. They omnivores. So truth of the matter, guess what? Chickens eat meat, and the chicken feed. Don't fall for this thing thinking that chicken are only fed seeds. No, they have meats along with whatever is fed to them because they omnivores. So they have to have some of that included in their diet. All right, but does that make them unclean? So the next question I want to deal with, since I made mention, when did chicken arrive in Northeast Africa? I'll say it again. When did chicken arrive in Northeast Africa, in which now it is called the Middle East? So I'm going to keep calling it what it originally is, Northeast Africa. Let's go to the Jerusalem Post. And it says here, chicken remains found in the Hellenistic period of the 4th century BCE in the Judean lowlands shed light on the beginnings of this economic revolution and shows the earliest evidence of the Western world's large-scale industrial poultry raising, the university said in a statement. And it tells us, and commerce created the right condition for change in the status of the rooster to generate income and serve as food. Chickens were first raised in the Far East and Southeast Asia some 8,000 years ago, reaching the Middle East in small pockets 5,000 years later. So there is an ancient Israelite city in the territory of Judah where people decided to eat chicken. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 14 verse 9. And there came out against Zerah, in other words Zarak, the Ethiopian, Kawashai or Cushi, with an host of 1,300 chariots, came unto Mareshah, all right, which is Marashah. Then Asa, right, went out against him, and they set the battle in array in the valley of Zephathah at Mareshah. So after 10 years of peace, Judah, Yehoiada, was invaded by Zerah the Cushite. Within Yah's help, Asa achieved a stunning victory over these invaders. So this victory occurred in Mareshah or Marashah. This is the ancient Israelite city of Judah where the people decided to eat chicken. This is coming from NPR.com. All right. The ancient city where people decided to eat chicken. An ancient abandoned city in Israel revealed how part of the story of how the chicken turned into one of the pillars of the modern Western diet. The city now as an archaeological site is called Mareshah. It flourished in the Hellenistic period from 400 to 200 BCE. The surprising thing was not that the chickens lived there. There's evidence that humans have kept chickens around for thousands of years, starting in Southeast Asia and China. But those old sites contain just a few scattered chicken bones. People were raising those chickens for cockfighting or for special ceremonies. The birds apparently weren't considered much of a food. In Mareshah, though something changed, the site contained more than 1,000 chicken bones. That's right, 1,000 chicken bones. They were very, very well preserved, says Perry Gall, whose findings appear in the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Perry Gall could see knife marks on them from butchering. There were twice as many bones from female birds as male. These chickens apparently were being raised for their meat, not for cockfighting. So the question is, did Judah break the law by eating chicken? Absolutely not. Chickens descended from Gallus family Phasanidae, order Galliformes. And we see here quail classified in the same family Phasanidae, and of course the other word Odontophoridae, which is the order Galliformes. This means that the quail, Shala, and the chicken are after their kind, Mayan or Mayanai. So they are after their kind. They are related. And this is coming from the Journal of Immunology. All right, this is dealing with the genetics, the DNA. These are their findings. Comparisons between the quail and chicken, MHC class 1 and class 2 genes sequences by phylogenetic analysts shows that they were more closely related within species than between species, suggesting that the quail MHC genes were duplicated after the separation of these two species from their common ancestors. What this is saying, that they both are related. Let me read the part again that's very important. It says they were more closely related within species than between species. Okay, within the species, coming directly from the red jungle fowl, so they are related right? It says here related within species. Within the species, they are related than between. They are more closely related within the species than between the species, suggesting that the quail MHC genes were duplicated after the separations of these two species. In other words, once they branched off, right, that's where you start seeing more of the separation, but it was within the species. This is when you start seeing more different species, different kinds of quails existing. All right, but it says again, quail MHC genes were duplicated after the separation of these two species from their common ancestors. So let's deal with chicken within the scripture. Matthew 26:34 says, Jesus said unto them, Verily I say unto thee, that this night before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. All right, so let's do a little translation comparison of Matthew 26:34. This is coming from the NIV. I tell you the truth. Jesus answered, this very night before the rooster crows. All right, the rooster. All right, the cock crows. All right, cock was another term that was used for the male rooster, the male bird. Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. So is a chicken a bird of prey? Absolutely not. Is the chicken an unclean bird? Absolutely not. So we're going to stop right here. I laid out the information for you, but it's up to you to make the final decision whether you vote yes or no. Did I lay out enough information for you to see that the chicken and the quail are related? Did I lay out enough information for you to see that a chicken is not a predatory bird or a scavenger bird? If so, add it to the comments below the video. Click the like button or unlike button for that matter, but hit the subscribe button. So I hope this helps you. Going to go ahead and conclude this presentation. Appreciate you guys for taking the time out to watch it. So I'm going to close out with the final blessing, Yahweh Barak Shamar, which means the Lord bless you and keep you. So let's go ahead and close out as I bless you guys, as Aaron did Israel every time they concluded their gatherings, when they would come together as an assembly. The Lord bless thee, Yabarak Ka Yahweh, and keep thee, Wayashamarak. Lord make Ya'ar Yahweh face shine upon thee, Panayah Alayak. Be gracious unto thee, Wayakanak. The Lord lift up Yasha Yahweh, countenance upon thee, Pa'anayah Alayak, and give thee peace. Wa Yasham Lak Shalom.